Do you feel misaligned in life? And how can you get it back on track fast? Have you ever looked at life and thought, your life, as you're going through things and thought, I'm doing all the right things, but something still feels off? I'll just tell you right now, you are not alone. Most high achievers don't lack ambition or motivation. They lack an alignment. When your values, your goals, and daily reality stop matching, everything feels like you're working harder than you really should. Today, I'm going to help you pinpoint what's really happening underneath that stuck feeling and walk you through how to get back into alignment. But one thing that I want you to understand is I've lived this. This is how I know to walk you through this, guide you through this. For years, I worked hard, stayed loyal, climbed the ladder, thinking this is what I'm supposed to do. I built a good life, steady job, reliable routines, decent income, where nothing really looked broken from the outside. I had experience, I had responsibility, I had a reputation for being the reliable one. And yet I started waking up with this heaviness. I just couldn't explain it. I was just tired. Deep down, something was off. I wasn't, it wasn't really until I started to pause and ask, why was I working so hard and always so tired? Tired you feel in here, not something that you could sleep off. Just tired. That's invisible burnout creeping in. Have you felt that? Why? Why would that happen? This is kind of sort of one of those, while my identity started to drift and my values started to drift in another direction. And at that point, the confusing part was I was still doing very well. I was still producing, which made me question myself even more. If this is landing to you, this is, if you're saying yes, type yes in the chat right now for me. All right. So here are three major signs of misalignment. First one is emotional drain. It's that feeling that after you've had a really good night's sleep, you still wake up tired. You've been really well rested and you're just not ready to take on the day. The things that you're doing that you used to be really excited for doing, they just seem to no longer fuel you, empower you. For me, I have been doing all these right things. I'd wake up in the morning and immediately feel completely behind, even before anything happened. I wasn't sleeping badly. I wasn't falling apart. I wasn't being refueled by my life. The life that I was living just wasn't fueling me anymore. Where do you feel it most? Just let me know in the chat real quick. Where do you feel it most? Is it in the mornings? Right when you wake up and you should be well rested, yet you're tired. Or in the afternoons, after morning meetings or morning routine, and you're just like in the afternoon, you're like, oh, I cannot go on any further. Or is it when you finally slow down during the day, at night, in the evening? Is it there? Show me, tell me, where in the moments of the day are you feeling this? All right, so second major sign of misalignment. Mental noise. That's right, mental noise. You start to overthink every decision. Making a decision, you're putting so much energy in just to make the decision. Ones that you normally would never second guess yourself on, you're second and third and fourth guessing yourself. You start to feel this low level stress and anxiety that something's just not right. That was the very confusing part of it for me. This number two was very, very confusing for me. This is where my work never slipped. I was working really hard, doing really great, which at the same time made me really question myself. Really question myself. My mind got loud and it was very heavy. Am I making the right decision here? Am I really making the right? Am I really, really making the right decision here? Every decision I made felt heavier, more of a weight on my shoulders than it should have been. I started second guessing all the choices I used to make confidently. I just used to know this is the right decision. And then I started second guessing myself. Not for any other reason than what I now know as I didn't trust the direction I was going anymore. That was it. I didn't know it then, but that was it. What decision keeps looping for you right now? What is that decision? Type it in the chat. One word that represents it. Work or team discussion or meeting contribution. Just a word or two that says what decision keeps looping around in your mind. Type it real quick. This is where right here is where you start to see the third major sign of misalignment start to show up. This third sign is loss of momentum. You start projects really strong and then stall, maybe even procrastinate. You lose your momentum, you lose your motivation. And it's not from laziness, but it's because you've lost your sense of direction. And usually, this is the one that really scared me the most, is because as I started to see that momentum be lost, I went into the second one really quickly, really often, which was overthinking, that mental noise of overthinking and second guessing everything. Projects for me began to halt completely because I had always been that consistent one, the responsible one. I took it personally. Internally, I took it personally, which made me even more tired inside, which also then brought in number two again. I started feeling like I was failing. And it wasn't because I wasn't working hard. I was actually working 3 or 4 times the amount that I should be. But it was because I was working in all different directions and I wasn't focused. If you walk in, if you work in every single direction, you're not focused on getting one thing done. And then everything I was beginning to do started completely lost momentum. Completely. What do you keep starting that you just can't seem to finish? Procrastinate, you lose momentum, you've lost some of that motivation. Do you feel this right now? Do you? Comment yes if you feel it. I want to see in the chat who's feeling that loss of momentum in their lives right now. Think of this. You're not lazy, but being stuck in those three, being stuck there is a signal. It's not a flaw. It's not laziness. It's not, oh, I need to have more motivation. The inner system within you is trying to protect you, forcing a pause until you start to know that your next step is matching with truly your deeper purpose is the best way to start that up again. And when you start to understand that you are completely out of sync, Action starts happening because you start to realign yourself with your purpose. The action starts the movement, which starts the momentum again. I used to label this feeling, those three going around in a circle, I used to label that discipline. I don't have enough discipline. I have a discipline problem. But looking back now, it wasn't discipline, it wasn't motivation, and it wasn't laziness. Internally, there's this conflict that's happening. This conflict that's happening is you're going in a direction that no longer serves you. Now, part of me had outgrown the life that I was still trying to force myself into. And the more I pushed, the more the motivation disappeared. It just went quiet. The more the movement and the momentum went quiet, the more I started to overwork on everything in every direction because I started feeling like I was a failure. This is where I wasn't growing. I had confused survival with purpose. I was in that survival fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting, trying to work really hard, overthinking everything when it was simply purpose. And my goals weren't mine. They were borrowed. They were borrowed from the fear of failure, fear of overthinking, fear of second guessing, and the culture that was around me. They had their own goals for me. And while I can achieve those goals, I needed to see my purpose within those goals first. All that noise around me is where I was just not growing. Then I finally paused and began to reflect with questions. My true vision, my purpose, started to form again. I started to uncover it. It was buried deep with all of that other noise. And I didn't arrive all at once. Just imagine digging a hole shovelful by shovelful, uncovering your purpose. It doesn't happen overnight. It slowly uncovers, and then you begin to shape it through reflection, through the stillness of understanding. Once my true vision came into focus, everything changed. My actions begin to align, like I was saying earlier. My habits simplified. My energy had focus and direction. That's the difference between activity and alignment. That's why my vision comes first. That's why your vision comes first. You're doing effort and putting effort in, but not putting in the vision in the effort into the goals that you're working on. It's it slowly makes you tired here inside. Focus goes next. We'll go into some questions here. So if you have the capability to stop and reflect, grab a pen and paper, do so. Take the time right now, grab a pen and paper. I'm going to start asking questions. It would be great if you just focus solely on the questions, solely on the questions. Now pause between every single question to get your thoughts together, but it's not going to be long. It's just going to go with the instinct. And I'd like for you to go ahead and go with instinct on this, because even then your subconscious knows what's going on as well. So once you grab that pen and paper, first question I want you to contemplate: why do I feel off? Why do I feel misaligned? Think about it for a couple seconds here and just jot down one or two words, or maybe a quick word map, 3, 4, 5, a whole bunch of words. Now take that one that strongly resonates with you and put it into this next question. The next question is, why does that keep showing up? And now, out of everything that you brainstormed and put together, make sure that you have one statement for your next question here. And the answer is placed into this next question. Why am I still doing the thing that drains me. Why am I still doing the things that drains me? The thing is where you put that in. Why am I still doing that drains me? And then just continue to brainstorm, maybe a whole bunch of words, whichever one feels instinctually the best. And then once you've circled that one, you've got that in your mind, I want you to go ahead and then put it into this question here. Why is it hard to change? Why is it hard to change? And just brainstorm the answer to this question instinctually. Use your feelings. Your feelings are going to guide you on this. And then this next one is going to be a little bit more painful, but it's going to hit home. So you take the word, the concept of that last answer, and you put it in here. Why does changing it scare me so much? Why does it scare me so much? And I hope you're following through with this and you're doing this because this real work is going to give you a spark of what's going on, why you're tired, even after you get so much good rest. I'm going to go ahead and say that we're going to start switching a little bit. There's going to be a couple more questions here. So keep the pen and paper out. When you're honest by these why questions and the change that scares you, you start, you stop, actually. You stop guessing and you start aligning with your true North Star. You're getting those feelings, you're seeing what's really there, and you stop guessing as to what it really is. And you start to come back to who you really are. The next part of this is going to be how to identify your true North Star. So we're switching gears just a little bit. It'll just be a couple questions, but it's going to be a different angle. You've done some of this work as to why you feel off. Let's reflect on it with this different angle. What part of my life feels authentic? And the last part of that question is, and what part of my life feels like I have to put on a show, perform? For me, this is where that spark really began. That that shift had to start with me asking reflection questions. So take a moment. I'll ask it again. What part of my life feels most authentic? And what part feels like performance? Be radically honest with yourself. Alignment starts with clarity, and it's about what you value. So, this honest clarity uncovers some of your true values, and then it's no longer what everybody expects. It's no longer what you feel upon yourself to expect. This is becoming your true North Star. This is your purpose. This is the intersection where you're going to have a starting of clarity. And that starting of clarity is going to have to meet with courage. That's where you want to really start, is because that courage and your clarity begins the actions, and that's when you finally start to line up to your true purpose. I had worked hard at everything, and this is back to my story here, but I really avoided asking some internal questions. In this part of my life, I was going through it. I finally I avoided these things for so long, such a long time, to ask that question, what part of my life feels like me? And what part feels like a role I'm just playing? That question hurt. It stung. But I had to realize that I had gotten so good at being dependable on everybody else's expectations, I stopped checking in with me. Does that resonate with you? Stop checking in with you. Comment in the chat. Where in your life are you still operating from that identity that once protected you, that once helped you survive, once helped you succeed, but today it's just holding you back and slowing your growth? Is it your work? Throw it in the chat real quick. Your work, your health? Is it your sense of purpose? What is it in your life that seems to be just holding you back and making you overwork and feel tired? And now we get into the meat of things. So let me give you a simple formula for alignment. It goes like this: clarity, decisions, direction, momentum. And if you remember nothing else today, feel how this is true and remember this: clarity, decisions, direction, momentum. We'll go into it just a little bit. Clarity is where it starts. This is what we're working on today. It's knowing what actually matters, not what you've been told matters, what actually matters to you. Then, as you have clarity, your decisions come. And once you know what's important, you can confidently cut out what doesn't fit. That alone frees up unbelievable energy. That unbelievable energy, next is the direction, because you stop trying to be everything to everyone. You now have a direction, and you can point all that effort and energy towards what feels aligned. And as you start to act in that direction, the last piece of this is momentum. When these first three things start to come into place, things start moving, and they start moving fast, and you build momentum. You get further with less effort. You're no longer tired, you're empowered, and you're not fighting yourself anymore. You're empowered to get things done the way, because it aligns with you. My momentum didn't come back for me in one big breakthrough. It came back when I finally started admitting what mattered most to me and uncovered, like I was saying, it was just kind of sort of uncovering my purpose. And when that became clear, certain things started to feel obviously wrong. For me, I was putting together large teams and working with large teams. One of those things that I was doing was I was just solely goal focused. And that just obviously was wrong to me at that point in time. And the other things that start feeling obviously right, I started to practice and experiment with blending, team building, empowering the team members so that they can be goal focused. And that's where I gained my energy back. That's when life got a little bit lighter, not easier, lighter. And for me, that simple realization was not to be focused completely on goals, but to focus building on the team. That simple realization changed perspective, fueled my energy, and gave me my new direction. I didn't have to change my entire life. I had to fuel it with my purpose. And that's the truth. Most people don't necessarily need motivation. They don't need more motivation. They need a recalibration. They need to start and realign. And once you start to feel what that is, you'll know exactly where you've been stuck. If you understand being stuck, just quickly type stuck in the chat for me, please. If you're hearing this and thinking, that's me, I've gone through this, I need clarity here, I just want you to know something. Nothing is wrong with you. You might just be out of alignment with who you've become, with your purpose. And once you can see that, you can start coming back to yourself. Let's continue for the next couple seconds here and keep reflection going. I want you to picture yourself 90 days from now, 90 days, with more clarity, more energy, and more momentum because you're working and you're moving forward on your purpose. Click that link below and book your free alignment call. It's a 30-minute call. It's free. That alignment call, together, we will connect. We'll work on and identify truly what alignment means to you. At the end of that call, I will email you a 90-day alignment roadmap PDF. This is so that when we're done with the free 30-minute call, for the next 90 days or more, working on that PDF, you will not be guessing what your next steps are. You just won't be. Because when you're aligned, momentum isn't forced. Motivation isn't forced. It's natural. Have a great Sunday. Thank you very much. Take care.